guys, how's it going? It's time for our fall garden tour. I'm not even completely done planting for fall, but we thought we would show you where I'm kind of at. And we're going to start right here at the front of the house because I just got this area almost done. And I did show you in a vlog how I decided what plants were going to come up here and kind of the whole process. So I planted some ornamental cabbage and kale and some really pretty carex. This is Toffee Twist, and I really like the blend. Last year I planted all ornamental cabbage with a little ring of pansies around the outside, and I really loved the cabbage. Was just so striking up here, and it lasted all the way into January, like toward the end part of January. So I decided I did want to repeat that, and using white and greens up here actually go into wintertime and into January, like into Christmas and then into January, and it kind of works with the decor and kind of the theme. So I did that on both sides here, and this is a little bit of a strange area. Erin and I have kind of talked about how we want to reconfigure the front. We're always dreaming up new projects and adding to our list and all that stuff, but these little islands are not balanced. And the whole front of the house isn't just because, you know, we've got Sun Porch on one side and then an AC unit with a privet hedge on the other side. One day we would love to come in and pick one type of like pathway material instead of having pavers, gray concrete and pink concrete all in one spot. We would like to kind of make it a unified experience up here and do something balanced on either side. I'm toying with the idea of removing the privet hedge here and planting it up because there is an AC unit back there, but there is a little white kind of decorative fence that hides it as well as the privet hedge. So I thought it would be maybe kind of fun to remove that and allow myself more room up here, and that way I may be able to put up like some better kind of structural evergreen. I did paint these urns. They were kind of hard water stained, so in that video of planting I got those all done, trimmed up the topiaries and added the pansies, and then I went out to a local farm stand and picked up all of these beautiful pumpkins and squash. So much fun just going out and kind of picking out a menagerie. It was actually a lot harder than I thought to get these to sit the way I wanted to them on the stairs. Like right here, like if I touch that or like breathe on it too hard, it's gonna fall down. So one day I'll figure out the secret on how to get everything to stay. The locust tree is starting to drop its leaves, and I actually really like it. I think it looks really pretty up here to have the leaves on the ground. And part 2 of the decorating video is going to be me kind of tackling this area up here. I need to add a wreath and maybe some fall color up there. But let's run up and look at the succulent arrangement that I made a few months ago. It was 103 degrees the day I made this. I just wanted to show you the progress. It's looking amazing. Ooh, it gets echoey when I get up in here. But all the plants have just done so fantastic. These I poked into the edge as cuttings, and they've rooted and they've taken off, and it's obviously getting enough light because it's the variegation's showing up. Nothing is stretching. You know, like the echeverias are staying nice and tight. It does look like my little teardrop, what is that? It's not string of pearls. It's a senecio of some kind. Is it rain? Something rain? I don't know. It looks like there's a couple of little stems I can pull out of that one, but overall it looks really good. We have a night coming up that's 33 degrees, so I'm probably going to be working on getting this moved inside. I might move it into the sun porch portion for a little while because it does protect it from frost in there, even though that is not heated. But I think a gradual transition might make the plants happier. Eventually it'll need to end up in the house under grow lights. So anyway, super thrilled with that one. You know what, while we're still up here, oh, Russell, part of my fall decorations, he's a perfect color. This railing is a black iron railing that was custom made for this home. It wasn't commissioned by us, it was by the last owners of the house, and I am so happy they did that because honestly, like, can you imagine this entryway without the railings? It would look maybe kind of like our porch in the back because it has the same kind of stairs that, you know, the stairs go off each side, so there's 3 ways you could climb the stairs, but this just frames it all in and makes it look a little bit more formal and honestly easier to decorate. Anyway, it could probably use a little bit of a good cleaning. It's due, but it's just beautiful and I really, really love it. Limelight hydrangeas have done fantastic. I wanted to step back in here. Look at this panicle. Look at how big it is. Like, what is it? Size comparison to me and my face. That is the hugest panicle I've about ever seen. And these have just grown just so amazingly. I'm really excited to come in. So I'll prune these back by about a third. I'll probably come in and prune them back to about here and shape them up really nicely so that they'll fill in and be a little bit more thick toward the bottom. So I'm excited to do that. It'll be late winter, early spring when I do that pruning. I did add some purple cabbage in here and some pansies for a little bit of fall color. Okay, now this area over here, if you haven't seen our video yet, kind of explaining this process, this is kind of shocking. There is very little grass left over here on the west side. Those of you guys who have been following us know that we have been wanting to tackle this area. I thought we were going to do it this year. We had a lot of other things come up that we needed to take care of, so we did those things. And then actually Aaron was like, you know what? We should get this area at least ready. Even if we're not ready to come in with a bunch of plants, let's get the grass removed. Let's get the water kind of set up so that when you do get plants, you can pop them in and you've got water already there, and then you won't feel like so overwhelmed come next spring. So let me actually show you where the water is going to come from, just kind of as a precursor to this whole thing. We also, so you will notice that there are still little lines of grass, and the reason why that is, we actually hired a couple guys to come in and lift the sod because it was such a huge project. This is about 3,700 square feet of grass. It would have taken Aaron and I days, and we don't have time for that right now, and these boys got it done in 2 hours. Like, you hire boys in their young 20s, that is the way to go. What is he doing? Is he playing with the grass? Russell, you are so cute. We got a good one right there. What do you have? What is that, a leaf? What is that, buddy? It's not an animal, is it? No, it's a piece of bark. Awesome. Anyway, so this is a sloped area. So the guys said that when they came in, they had to leave like a little barrier between each run here because the machine would want to sink down too far and it would cut way too much soil out. So we actually needed to have an excavator come in, and he's going to scrape up all the rest of the grass, and while he's at it, he's going to smooth the whole area out, because even though there is a kind of a slope, especially more toward this end that goes down this way, it's very uneven. This whole area has like ups and downs, divots, and we just wanted, even though there's the slope, it's not going to fix that, but he's going to smooth everything else out and get rid of all the rest of this grass. So we're working on it. Right here is where the water is going to come from. It's a little bit of a mess right now. Aaron's been working on getting these fixed. These got kind of, I don't know if they got bumped by the sod machine or what happened, but yeah, so we're getting that fixed. This is a water line that actually comes from our house, and it's piped over here, and there are 4 zones. So one of the zones feeds the arborvitae hedge all the way down. The other zone the other 3 zones will be for whatever we want. So we can separate. If we've got evergreens over here, we can have all the evergreens on their very own zone because they typically like different water than the rest of the plants. We can have all the perennials on their own zone and all the annuals on their own zone, which is so awesome. This is going to be an interesting project because we're hoping this fall to get it all cleaned up and then get the water set up and then hopefully get a pathway started through this area. So we'll just see how much we get done. It's kind of weather dependent right now. This globe willow is coming out beginning of November, just because there was one other one just like it that almost blew over in a windstorm, and that will happen to this one eventually. It's what happens to most all willows in our area, and I just don't want that headache. So what I plan on doing, the leaves are already starting to fall. I'm going to harvest a bunch of these branches as soon as all the leaves are gone, and I'm going to use them for projects. So the tree won't be wasted, it'll be used for something, and we're going to be planting so much more in this area to kind of make up for it. So we also did a tour of our vegetable garden area, which I hope you saw. I think it just hopefully went up a couple of days ago. I don't know the timeline of everything, but we'll link that video and the grass video down below if you haven't seen them. Let's go this way and take a look at the flowers and the fall stuff over here. And today is so glorious. It's overcast, and we don't get overcast very often. I think it makes everything look more green and more lush. It's just so pretty. Here's the back sun porch. So this is a really good look at the stairs. Like, this is what the stairs would look like up front without the railing. which you can totally still do up, you know, this is the first time I've ever really kind of decorated, like decked it out. But wouldn't it look pretty to mirror the same ironwork right here? I think that would be gorgeous. But everything's doing really great, and I did plant these kind of early. I do need to come in and deadhead my mums. That's the only thing that I've kind of fallen down on the job there. This area here has really come along. This was one of those spots that I didn't think we were going to get to. We had a rose garden right here, and I actually was a little reluctant to get rid of them this year. I knew they needed to go because this walkway is just too narrow, and they were snagging us as we walked by. And then we figured out that a couple of our friends were wanting a bunch of roses, and so they actually came over and dug them out themselves. It was perfect, the perfect arrangement. And I guess they're all doing great. They haven't lost a single rose. And that's the best way. I mean, because a lot of them were still really healthy. There was one that was diseased that we got rid of, but all the rest of them were still healthy roses. I just didn't want them in this spot. So I came in with 5 incredible hydrangeas, which they were down at the garden center, and they had been smashed by a tree that fell over in a windstorm. And they've really done great. I mean, most of them had just like a couple of lanky stems, and like this one here had this stem and one other stem on the other side, and it's put on all of this growth right there. So I've just been so thrilled. I do need to add one more. So next spring I'm waiting to add one more back in that kind of hole. But I did also plant a hedge of Munstead Lavender, and I think that it's at least quadrupled in size since I planted it. It's doing so well. It's starting to even flower. Wasn't expecting that this year, so that's so exciting. And I did, Russell, what are you doing? He is so full of it this morning. He loves this maple tree. I planted this Crimson Queen Japanese maple, and for some reason yeah, look at this. Hey, what are you doing? He thinks everything out here belongs to him. Huh, buddy? I don't understand. Oh well. He doesn't do that with very many other things, so. This side I decked out with ornamental cabbage. So fun. I don't know that I'll do it every year, but I did a little grouping of purples, like 3 purples here, 3 purples there, and then I just underplanted it with all of the Osaka white. I think this is Osaka white. It might be Coral Queen. There's a little bit of kind of a pinky color coming through, which I love. That's really pretty. And then I did want to show you the brick circle area. It's kind of morphed into something, like I planted it not really knowing how it was going to do. It did not have a water system run to it until this year. And I honestly don't know if this raised bed goes all the way down into the soil or if there's an actual bottom to it somehow. I don't know. I didn't dig around in there to find out. The Vertigo Sedum has done so well. There's only 3 grasses in the center right there. Look at that. I mean, we'll try to find a picture and throw it up on the screen so you can see how small they were when I planted them, and they quickly grew that big. So it's something that I was just telling Aaron, we were on the other side of the yard and I could see them, and I just thought that is so much, like such a statement, so much drama that just 3 grasses can add to your garden. This is the Mystic Illusion Dahlia, which has performed obviously really well in this area. Hindsight, I probably wouldn't pair a dark foliaged dahlia with a dark foliaged grass, but all in all it looks really great together. There's also some Vermillionaire Kufia mixed in, and the whole point of this bed, I wanted to plant it for pollinators. So the Vermillionaire was for the hummingbirds, the dahlias were for the honeybees, and it's worked like a charm. This thing, when it's sunny out especially, is just covered with different, mostly honeybees. We've had a few hummingbirds this year, but I haven't noticed a whole bunch yet. I did plant Supertunia Bordeaux around the whole edge of the bottom tier of this bed, and I think it got too much water and then it just got shrouded by everything else. So everything's a learning experience out here in the garden. I know I'm not alone there. You know, you try out new things and you're just bound to have success with some plants and not with others, and you figure out what's compatible and what you need to do for the next year. I think I want to go back behind the gazebo and tool shed area. We did set this little kind of fall vignette up for pictures. Both sides of our family, Benjamin does have cousins, and I thought it would be so fun to set up a spot and get all of their pictures taken, and then maybe every year have their pictures taken, like every fall, so that we can see how they're growing and if there's any more cousins that are added in. That would be really fun, you know, just to see the progressions through the year. On our way, there's Dipped in Wine Coleus, looking amazing. We like to change things up every year and do different plants, but I really don't want to change this up because clearly the Coleus has done fantastic there. We never got to making the pathway. That was one of the projects that we thought we might get to this year, but we kind of got hung up because we can't decide if we want to go all brick, all paver stone, all gray pavers. We just don't know yet. So we're just going to hold off, and for now it's been a really usable walkway area, which has been great. I want to show you the Alyssum. I know I said we were going to go behind the gazebo. We will get there. This is the Blushing Princess Alyssum that we planted. It has gone nuts, just absolutely crazy. There is a pathway that leads through here to the fireplace area, which is kind of shrouded both by a climbing iceberg rose, which I think they thought it was a Floribunda iceberg because there's nothing for it to grow on, but it's just enormous all the time. But these just are so pretty. They've been given water-soluble fertilizer once a week, and other than that, that is it. Other than they're on drip. There's like the brown tubing that runs through this flower bed. So, I mean, this is one of those annuals that I recommend. I planted them around the urn in Versailles last year. They did so well. I'm like, you know what? We need to plant a huge drift of them over here. The succulent bunny is doing pretty good. So here's the deal with that. I ran some 1/4-inch soaker hose around the whole topiary form before I planted it. And then I set it over here, hooked it into the water system to the drip tube. And I didn't realize that our drip tubing over here was not working at the time. The bunny did excellent because it wasn't getting much water at all. There wasn't enough pressure running through the drip tubes over here. So it was getting a tiny bit. The whole time I thought it was getting like regular water, and I'm like, oh, look at these sempervivums, they're doing so well on this amount of water. Didn't know it wasn't functioning. So finally we got the drip tubing working really well, and then all of a sudden the bunny was getting way too much water. So I did lose some of the sempervivums. I've since capped the line. It's not even hooked into any irrigation at all. Russell is totally attacking Aaron's legs right now. Russell, what are you doing? You are full of beans. Anyway, all in all, even with the watering issues, the bunny has done really well, and it's been really fun to have him right there. Oh, and I've got a little field of mushrooms going on right here. Excellent. I need to make a little fairy garden right there. I want to go look at the hydrangeas we planted by Hebe. So we've got the 3 hydrangeas that I planted right in the depths of summer, and I was really worried because they were so huge. They had so many blooms that, you know, that little root system had to support, that I thought for sure I was going to be dealing with some burning, some wilting, but I did put 4 gallons, two 2-gallon per hour emitters on each one of these, so they're getting 4 gallons of water every single day, and they look amazing. Now we have, I think, scaled back the drip a little bit. We're not watering that much now that it's colder, and I'll probably have to pop one of those emitters out and cap it, maybe next year after they've established a little bit more. But boy, they have been so amazing. I can see this, like this area from my bathroom, the master bathroom window, and it's just so pretty. I can see these hydrangeas just glowing in here, and at night we've got Aaron put a little light right here, which, you guys, we did pick up these solar lights like for $5 a piece, I think, at Home Depot, and they work really well. They light up our statuary and stuff for several hours, like after we go to bed. They're still shining when I go to bed, so we've really enjoyed that, and it just kind of makes this whole area glow. And then I haven't done much to fill in the area in front because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, and I was trying to kind of figure out the light situation over here. It's a little bit odd, just because it depends on the growth of the willow. If we're really on it and kind of keep up the willow branches, it's a little more sunny. But anyway, the rest of the bed looks amazing. We've got lemon jade sedum right here, which is a phenomenal plant. I'm really, really happy with that one. And then I back planted it with Meteor shower verbena. Now we had this up in our front flower bed by the front door, and it was underplanted with potato vine and Supertunia hot pink charm. It did great for most of the season, but it was getting overhead water because those little islands are watered by our grass sprinklers, and after a while they started to get hard water buildup. I didn't even think a plant, I mean, I can see hard water spots on plants, but I've never seen them actually get hard water buildup, and these developed that up there, and so they started to not look very good. These are watered by drip. They still look fantastic, so it's something I learned about them. I just have to make sure that we're putting them in an area that doesn't get overhead water. Right behind it, Supertunia Bubblegum. I think there's only four Supertunia Bubblegums in here, and look at how they filled in. They're so pretty. Okay, now we can head behind the gazebo. I just see that I left my hose out. Usually I try to have my hoses coiled up for garden tours, but this is real life, people. So this spot over here, there's a hawthorn tree here that has had blight. So we're trying to decide whether or not we should take it out and put something in. That's Aaron's shaking his head yes. But I mean, Aaron, like look at this. Look at those berries. I mean, it just needs some, I've sprayed it in the spring when you're supposed to for blight, and it just hasn't really, it's taken it down a little bit, but they still have blight branches every year. And so let's see right there, you can see that is a branch that's been affected by blight. And it usually is spread in the spring when it's a little bit more moist and rainy. This is a juniper that also has blight, and we are having this removed in November. So this one right here, after it's removed, we're going to address the way the one in the back looks. If it's way too affected, we may have to have that one removed as well. That'll be a sad day. I don't like relish removing things out of my garden. I know it probably feels or seems like I love to remove stuff. I just like to get rid of stuff that is going to be, that's a problem. If it's got disease or insect problems, and I don't want to have to be chemically treating stuff. I want to put things in my garden that are like, is sustainable the right word? Sustainable without having to be treated. I don't want to introduce chemicals into my garden unless I'm desperate. So anyway, that's something that'll happen in November. I'm hoping that the back one looks good enough, but I have planted a few things in here. There is some apricot zinnias. I did notice a comment recently about this Skylands Oriental spruce. They wanted to know an update. It's done really well. It looks beautiful, and the yellowing, that is the way it looks, especially when it gets the right amount of light. It's just got a beautiful structure to it, and I love the yellow. It's just a nice bright spot. I did plant a Mary Rose David Austin, which just had a couple gorgeous blooms. I'm going to add 4 more. I have 4 more on order, and I'm going to put like probably 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one right here. Once the dahlias are dug, I'm going to have to dig these here pretty quick. But look at these. Look at that white dahlia. Isn't that just the prettiest thing? They're just, oh, this one's a fresh one. Oh, they're just gorgeous plants. And then this is a different kind of dahlia. And now I don't know variety names on these, but this one is beautiful. So here pretty quick, I'm going to be digging the tubers and getting them into the barn for storage. But right in front of me here, this has been one of my favorite spots in the garden this entire year. The plain the blue salvia here has been, well, I mean, you can see it's amazing. The structure of the plant, I love the way the foliage looks. It has a very velvety, soft look to it. It's kind of a sagey dark green, which I really like. The honeybees and the hummingbirds love this plant. And every time I have to come water back here, I just stare at it. I just love it. Like I want to spend all my time back here. Of course, it looks extra awesome because it's contrasted by the lemon coral sedum that's planted right in front. I do have a butterfly bush in here that's a microchip pink, which probably you can see all the blooms. It bloomed amazingly, but it's just kind of going out of bloom right now. There are some new ones forming. Baby's breath in there, and then this is a surprising one to me. This is called a flashpoint Gnophofia or red hot poker. I've never really been a huge fan of Gnophofia because they're usually red or like a really hot orange color, which I don't tend to like in my garden. I like kind of the softer palette. This has been so beautiful. I love the structure. I like perennial grasses anyway, so you kind of get that grassy texture, but then you get some really neat blooms, and these last forever in floral arrangements. That has been fun. So I'm excited to see these grow and maybe put on more blooms so I can cut even more of them. Our fountain, the 3-tier Grand Kensington fountain, is running beautifully. We had a little hiccup there in the middle of summer where we had to replace the pump, but it sounds so pretty. And the Gara makes it look extra like magical. I love that in there, and I'm thankful because I thought we had trampled the Gara when we put the fountain in like too much. I thought it was like, it's a little thin right in front of the fountain, but all of this around is just glorious, and it'll all fill back in. And then just real quick, the self-watering containers are still hanging in there. This one has had a little bit of a struggle on the very end. You can see a few little blooms. I hope you can't really see a lot of detail on that because it doesn't look that good. I'm about ready to pull the flowers. But all the rest of them look really nice, and I've really loved the blend of color over there. And then I want to give you an update on this area because this is probably one of the very first like flower beds we tackled this spring, I think, to plant new things. Now I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this area because we just uploaded a video where I showed you and I explained this whole area. But I planted these At Last roses in this spot right here, as well as the North Pole Arborvitae. We'll link that video down below as well so you can get more details on this spot, but it's grown really beautifully back here. Okay, so I think there's a couple more areas. There's a Gara Carolee Petite Pink with a purple fountain grass that's performed beautifully. It's all in drip. I haven't had to touch that area. And I wanted to show you the flower bed up here by the barn. So check this out. This has been such a fun blend of plants. Last year we did King Tut grasses and Supertunia Bubblegum, so it was a very contrasted height. King Tut got huge, like between 7 and 8 feet tall, huge. And then the Supertunia Bubblegum was, you know, quite a bit shorter, and it kind of filled in the ground below. Toward the end of the season, like at this time, the Supertunia was looking a little bit like, I mean, it was still blooming its head off, but it was looking a little bit like it had too much water. This has been a little bit better in that respect. The heights are a little bit more, I don't know, the gap has been closed a bit, but we have 4 bamboo teepees, or 6-foot bamboo teepees here with the Tangerine Slice Appeal, Thunbergia, or Black-Eyed Susan vine. There's only 3, I used 3 4-inch cans for each teepee. Look at how they filled in. Like they are coming through and they filled in and like grown intermixed in this salvia. This is Rockin' Deep Purple Salvia. There's honeybees all over it. We did figure out, because you can see like it's amazing, amazing, great, and then good, but not awesome on this side. It's because I think that this part of the flower bed is right at the drip line of this willow tree, and the willow's been utilizing all the water that this side has been getting. So I think that's why we're seeing a kind of a sloping like performance. Like it starts off amazing and doesn't get, I don't know. It still looks amazing and it's been really fun. So next year I would know that I need to maybe double up my drip tubing on this side, just on this little end, to make sure that the plants get the same amount as the beginning. I want to show you the sidewalk right behind here because this is pretty striking. You can tell we don't use this area right here to walk, and these vines have just grown like a total carpet. Like if you need a ground cover, so you always think of vines as, you know, needing to have a support for them to grow on, and they train themselves. I didn't have to train them at all, but you could also use them as a ground cover. If you need to just fill up a sunny spot in your garden to make it look pretty, have blooms, and then also help suppress weeds and keep moisture into the soil, this is a really great option. And you know, you just learn something new about a plant every single year, and that keeps it fun. Okay, so one more spot that I didn't show you is the area where we did the Pallet Walkway, and that's probably where we're going to end the tour today. So let's head that way. So first of all, this is one of my favorite views, minus the green hose in there. But you can look across the flower bed with the spruce. You can see the apple brandy coleus in that container, the salvia, and then beyond it is the weeping willow with the hebe. It's just so pretty. I planted a couple of Pinky-Winky hydrangea standards on this pergola back here, and oh my word, I planted them kind of in the middle of summer. It was really hot. They wilted for a long time. Like I was giving them so much water to keep them nice, and they just have performed great. The blooms were bright white, and then they turned to this gorgeous pink in the fall. I have to control myself. I have been staring these down like I want these blooms inside so bad, but they look so great out here. So I've been controlling myself. I'm not going to cut them, but I've been really thrilled. I've got some Baptisia in here, as well as some heucheras. I mean, just a lot of perennials in here. We've got some, I always want to say it's Dusty Miller, but it's lamb's ear, some euphorbia, some panicum, and then on the other side I've got a big drift of carex. There's some firelight hydrangeas, some brunnera, echinacea. I'm just so thrilled because at the beginning of this season, I think all I had here was a crabapple tree. I have like a little one right here that only grows I think it was like 8 by 8, or it stays really small. And I chose that on purpose because the silver lace vine that's right here is growing on a mound that's actually the roof of our root cellar. And I'm hoping, maybe not next year, but the year after or something, I want to remove the root cellar and actually build another little black picket fence like we have around our garden area and grow my corn and vine crops in this spot. So I didn't want to plant any tree that got way too big to shade it. It's weird because we have a huge elm tree right above us, but this area, excuse me, this area when the sun's out, like today it looks like it's in the shade, but when the sun's out, this is a full sun spot. It gets sun for a good part of the day. That's why the silver lace vine's doing so well. So anyway, this spot has really transformed quite a lot. Woo. And the Pallet Walkway has been really fun. It was a really inexpensive, easy way to kind of bring some structure to this area until we figure out what we want to do. I think I spent $75 total on this whole pathway, and that was just to buy the little black landscape pins. Anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much the tour for now. If we have something else go on this fall, I don't know if we're going to be doing another tour. I expect we probably will, especially when we start doing Christmas lights. Aaron's already we've been talking about it because we know the stores are starting to have Christmas lights. So we'll show you some more things kind of as the season progresses. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, hanging out with me today, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.